So yeah, Platonic Path is a church established in Montana, and really what it's about is moving us from the place of these being ideas into something that's actually a way of life and a basis for community moving forward. So, we really need to kind of bridge that gap. And, the pagan groups throughout the world that I think have been successful have done exactly that. They've been able to take these kind of core principles, but ground them in a kind of church community and use that as the basis to basically grow themselves moving forward. And so it's really all about that. It's about taking something that's, not just theoretical, but is actually a basis for religious community and a place where we can teach our kids about our culture, about our history, and teach them about religion and the gods and God, and guide them toward virtue. So I kind of see it as well as being a reflection of Plato's ideas around the polis, the city. He has a lot of writings that are sort of political in nature, but they're kind of a special kind of political community that's entirely focused toward the good. I think, a good way to think of that is that's really more like a church than it is like a secular city that we think of today, right? So, for Plato, you couldn't really have a city that wasn't oriented toward the good, which is ultimately God. Any city that didn't have that kind of orientation was sort of doomed to fail. And so, really, about what we're doing is bringing that into reality and creating these communities, creating these polities of people who want to be directed toward the good and want to strive toward virtue and have a place where they can do that with other people who are like-minded
So,
and
what
trying to
does
do the
a
same.
church session look like? What's the kind of structure? Is it a lot of talking? Do you have a youth pastor up there with an acoustic guitar and tambourine, or what? What does this look like if you were to attend a Platonic church?
Yeah. So the way it's going to look is going to be based around, ritual to the gods. So that's going to be sort of the central mystery that we do is really just doing worship and doing offerings. And there will be singing of hymns, but we're going to leave the guitar and the youth pastor out of it. We're going to do something that's a little more reverent and traditional when it comes to singing and hymns. And then we're going to take pieces of that sort of scripture or, the canon of Platonic works. Some could be revelatory, could be more philosophical, but we're going to read bits of that and then talk about it to people. So, my expectation is that I don't expect people to read Plato. I don't expect them to read Aristotle, Plotinus, any of these guys. And but people need to be able to go somewhere and learn these things bit by bit and in a way that's accessible so that it isn't just, esoteric, complicated metaphysics. That's going to be for a special group of people. That would be more like our version of Bible study, right? There will be Plato study for people who want to take the extra time and sit down with others and really read the core text directly. But the service itself is much more about community. It's about worship. It's about devotion. And then we use the texts in a way to help illuminate people and, taking it in little bite-sized chunks that, none of which is going to be overly intellectual type of material. It's going to be much more brief and much more pointed to people's lives.